I want to talk about the opening of The Rise of Skywalker because we got some projections today from Deadline that have been well, not looking good, not looking great. I will fully admit. And I'm a person who has on multiple on multiple occasions tweeted out and said that I think the movie will hit the $2 billion mark. And I still think to an extent it could do that. And I have reasons to think that. But I'm also willing to amend my original estimation from about 1.6 to 1.9, somewhere in there. It will definitely do a billion. It will definitely beat out The Last Jedi, 100%. But will it cross its coveted 2 billion mark? That I'm not too sure of, and I'm just being honest. So let's take a look here at the Deadline article, saying here that Star Wars Rise of Skywalker sees 205 opening, and here's why. So 205 million is still a few less than The Last Jedi, definitely a lot less than Force Awakens, but still, I mean, anyone out there who's critical of this movie is going to look at this headline and go, well, 205 million, that's clearly a box office bomb. The movie bombed, it tanked, it died, anything to back a narrative. Because that's just where we find ourselves. All right, so it says here that we've been hearing for quite some time from exhibitors and distribution sources that advanced ticket sales are strong but not overly robust for The Rise of Skywalker, meaning in the way that they were for Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. Hence, early AM estimates for J.J. Abrams' movie hitting tracking, when averaged, are at 205 million, given the comparative titles provided. Atom Tickets reported that first-day sales of Skywalker back on October 21st were their second best ever behind Avengers Endgame. However, they're a much younger ticket retailer than Fandango, and a rep of a small portion of overall pre-sales to AMC, Regal Cinemark, and other outlets, with millennials and mobile users being their prime demo. As of 8 a.m., one tracking firm says 175 million, but that seems low. Working in Skywalker's advantage is that Abrams and it stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, are already hitting the talk show circuit to generate heat. And that was the thing. Remember, I just brought that up, where you had, I think it's weird that they're already doing the game. They're already going out there and trying to generate heat and hype with this, which could lead to, or could be a direct reason of lower, ticket sales. Because Disney has all this data. These box office forecast trackers may not have all the data, but they've got enough to work with to maybe compile some kind of scenario. But it's possible that it's just not really hitting some people, and that might be because of Solo. Now it says, as is typical with the tracking of late, if reviews are bad for Skywalker, and we hope not, then all projection gas here goes out the window. The world Hollywood premiere for Skywalker is on December 16th, and will be screening for critics and media around the same time. I believe that's on the 17th. They're going to be doing the media screenings in LA. Now, everyone has believed that based on pre-sales and the fact that this is a threequel in the episode 789 sense of the term, that ticket sales will be lower for Skywalker. I will say this: when Skywalker reviews break, they should report that this threequel is, of course, correcting the left turns that many fans griped about in Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. Word will break out like wildfire, and the sky is the limit when it comes to the threequel's opening, hands down. As expected, a hearty holiday play period is in store no matter what. We haven't seen, knock on wood, winter storms ruin the opening weekend of a Star Wars movie yet. Even Episode 4 prequel Rogue One, just bad audience word of mouth, spurred by the stigma of the prolific director divorce. And I mean Solo, and that was, Solo, again, I just have to, every time people talk about Solo, they fail to bring up the movie that opened the weekend before it. And the fact, which was Deadpool 2, which opened to 88 million. And then the second weekend, which was Solo's opening weekend, took in another 43 million. So that took money away from Solo. Additionally, Memorial Day weekend has been dead up until, for some reason, this year. Aladdin seemed to kind of reinvigorate Memorial Day weekend, when for the previous 4 years, everything that came out of Memorial Day had basically crashed and burned, but Disney kept trying, and eventually one hit. So there are other factors there that for some reason a lot of people just never bring up. They just never bring up. Anyway, finishing up here, it says, Skywalker's first choice is under that of Avengers Endgame, 357 million opening. Avengers Infinity War, 257 million, and not far from Force Awakens and Last Jedi, but just above Jurassic World and The Lion King opening. Other box office titles that Skywalker is being compared to is The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Ooh, that's the lower one. Solo and Rogue One. Unaided awareness, that portion of the survey respondents who bring up Skywalker without being prompted by a pollster is high, but behind Endgame, Infinity War, Last Jedi, and Force Awakens, Last Jedi was in wide release for 8 weeks in 2017 to Force Awakens 12 weeks. Force Awakens became the highest grossing title statewide, with Last Jedi became the 9th highest. And so, I mean, really, it's kind of saying here that it's up against a lot of stuff, right? It's up against a lot of competition from previous titles, and they're trying to just kind of triangulate what it could potentially be. Do I think 175 million is where it's going to go? No, I'm thinking it's going to probably hit 200, right? Is it going to beat The Last Jedi's 210? I don't know. And at the end of the day, when I talk about this, and I mentioned this even on John Talk's stream earlier today, I had said, you have to watch the second week breakdown or the second week drop off. If the drop off is minimal, then the movie has legs and it will continue to perform. If the movie has a strong drop off, then it's just going to die. You know, I mean, look at Batman v Superman, right? Just as an example. BVS dropped March of 2016, strong $188 million opening weekend. Next weekend, due to bad word of mouth, bad reviews, and generally just being a bad time at the movies, dropped down to I think it was like 73%, right? And had they released the Ultimate Edition, we would have not had that. It wouldn't have dropped off as much. But that movie tanked and burned in its second weekend because people just had bad word of mouth. Now take a look at Joker, another DC Comics film, but I think this one also serves as a solid example. Joker opened to like, what is it, 93.5 to 96.5 million. I've heard both estimates, but you know, whatever. It did that in the opening weekend, which was above estimates. Its original estimates were 60 to 90 million, and it pulled in over 90 million. Then on the Monday following the release of Joker, I believe it pulled in another 12 million. So the movie had crossed $100 million domestically in just the first 4 days because of strong word of mouth. And not only that, but the controversy. But then in the second weekend, when it pulled in like another 40 million or something, 40 or 50 million, I forget what the number was, it shows you it had legs. People wanted to see it. I have friends who have watched that movie theatrically 3 times, right? They love it. They just love it. And that movie kept going. The Rise of Skywalker, to have legs like that, in my opinion, has to just be better than The Last Jedi. When audiences leave, audiences cannot feel conflicted. They cannot feel confused. They cannot feel angry. They don't necessarily have to love it, but they just have to feel satisfied. Because at the end of The Last Jedi, you walk out of that movie and you're just like, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. That was my experience. Like I walked out, I saw it with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, did you like it?" I'm like, "I think I did." And he's like, "I liked it." I'm like, "That's good." And then I drove home, and as I was on the drive, I'm just, driving by myself, driving in the dark, thinking about the movie. Started getting mad. Started getting real mad thinking about that movie because it was just what the hell? It was so what the hell. Doesn't make any sense to me how they made that movie, how it got greenlit. And it's that type of resonating feeling that I don't think we're going to have with this movie, because JJ does know how to bring the spectacle. Even if you don't like the "They Fly Now" clip, just look at what happens in that scene. Look at the fact that it's bright, it's colorful, it's action packed. It's like old Western shootouts. There's jet troopers, right? It's in 30 seconds. It conveys so much of what that movie is trying to be. Massive space adventure spectacle, bringing the fun, bringing the popcorn. And if he's able to tap into that in a way that resonates with good word of mouth and decent critical reviews, which, let's be fair, the people that like The Last Jedi, a lot of Hollywood access media, they're probably going to like this movie too. Okay. And so, I'm just saying there's going to that's a reality we got to live with here. That's a reality we got to live with. There's going to be that. But that is something where we find ourselves in a situation where what you have is just needing to be better than the last movie. It's like that old saying when it comes to the zombie apocalypse, right? I don't have to outrun them. I just have to outrun you. And that's it. And that's the truth of it. That's the reality of it. $205 million, I think is doable. I think it's doable. I think people out there who are going to want to see it with their families over Christmas. I think people out there are going to want to see it with their friends over Christmas. I think people out there, they're going to be curious to want to see it, and their friends who are excited are going to drag them along. And if they like it, solid word of mouth is going to come back and elevate it to the next week. But if it's not good, then all that goes out the damn window. And we are going to be in a situation where I don't know if theatrically Star Wars can survive. If it crashes and burns, if it does, 3 years won't be enough. They'll push it back 5. They'll push it back 5 just to give enough time to move on, to build up the slate of Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, and that people forget that the sequel trilogy exists. And they might even push it back further. They might even push it back to 10 years. Very similar between 2005 and 2015, between Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens. Disney doesn't want to lose money. They want to salvage the brand. If they can't do it theatrically, they'll rely on the Disney Plus shows until they are able to, until the stank of this goes away. And that's only on the hypothetical that it is bad. And we don't know until we see it. And that's my whole thing with everybody here. It doesn't matter if you are pro or against this movie. I think if you have talked about it as much as a lot of us have talked about it, I think you owe it to yourself to go and see it. I do. I think you owe it to yourself to go and see it. And I don't mean that in a pirated fashion. I don't mean that in the illegality sort of way. I say that because I feel that if you care as much as we all really do care, you owe it to yourself to see it in the best possible light, the best possible format, right? I'm not saying IMAX, but just like a standard theater would be fine. But just to go see it in the experience that Star Wars is made for. Watching it on your phone or watching it on your TV and it's a really terrible HD cam with with subtitles or some weird advertisements that have been running on those things now, then you can't get the same scope and feel. So I would recommend that. And I did that with Ghostbusters, by the way. I criticized the hell out of Ghostbusters in 2016. Still saw the preview night screening because I wanted to see if I was right. And I was hoping I wasn't. And it turns out that I was. So there's that. But I'm just saying that's my personal take on it. And you could have an entirely different take. But I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Write it down in the comments below. Thank you guys for that one. This video is supported by patrons like you. If you'd like to become a patron, please head over to patreon.com/Matt Jarbo.